Well, painting a high key painting can be a real challenge when you go out on location. You have, the thing you're looking at is extremely complicated and complex. And what we do though is we paint the light that falls on the objects. And in order to do this, there's a set of parameters. Number one, mixing colors, having enough colors to create the transitions that you see in nature. And that's what I'll talk about here. The nature of the pigments is what's going to allow you to recreate the light effect that you want, and knowledge of the limit of pigments, which you can accomplish, will allow you to put brighter colors in the foreground and bring the viewer into the picture and then back with the colors that are still bright. This was a favorite model of mine when I was teaching figure in the landscape impressionist classes in City Park in New Orleans back in the 80s, a long time ago. Yeah, I'm going to mix some colors and I'm going to explain my color theory while I do it. So the colors are laid out in a spectrum, and I'm going to mix a bit of white with each one so that we will be able to discuss the qualities of the paint. Doesn't take much, but let me just get started this way. This is manganese blue. It's a yellow blue, and I choose it as a cool blue. And I'll explain what I mean. This is cobalt, which is a middle blue, and this is ultramarine, which is a warm blue. It's a reddish blue. All of these change significantly when you add white to them. Blues usually become cooler. This is cobalt violet, which is a good mixing violet, especially for portrait work. And it's a clean color. It mixes very well, but it's a weak color and expensive. Not exorbitantly so. This is magenta, and I normally prefer a darker magenta from Winsor Newton, but I couldn't get any for today. And this is permanent rose, which you can see is pinker. You thought that this magenta was pretty pink, but the rose is pinker yet. So let's see what we got here. We have cadmium red deep, which is a nice strong color, but it's a dirty color. It doesn't mix very clean. If you mix blue with it thinking you're going to get purple, you'll get a dusty purple. You'll get a better purple out of your magenta with ultramarine. It'll be brilliant. In fact, I think it's the brightest one of the purples that you can mix. Aniline dyes would be brighter, but still you want colors that will last, and those two will definitely last. But I find the purples mixed from cadmium red deep with any of the blues to be very useful, especially in landscapes. Now this is a Mars violet, which my teacher used and I use. This is a bit of a dirty one by comparison to the red Mars violet. Mars violet red is a little less dirty than that, but it's also useful when mixed with other colors. Now let's see what burnt sienna looks like, and then cadmium red light right here. So burnt sienna is a very useful earth color, and it's an orange. You can see that it's if you add orange to that, it just becomes more so. This is your cadmium red light right here, and that's a peachy color. Well, it's not peachy. I mean, it's a Swedish, peach color. Not actually peach. If I added a little bit of rose to it, it would become peachy pretty quick. So is orange. Oh, that's the red. Okay, here's the orange right here. Let's see what goes with this. Yeah, see, that's definitely orangey. All right, cadmium orange, and then cadmium lemon, cadmium medium, cadmium deep, yellow ochre. So what you get on the lemon yellow is generally designated as a cool yellow, but it is lighter. In contradiction to that it will be the lightest color that you can mix. If you mix a tiny bit of lemon yellow with white on the canvas, there's nothing else that you can mix that will be lighter than that. White would be lighter than that if white were not a cool color, if it were not a neutral. So the ability to use white on a landscape is extremely limited. It doesn't denote a color, it denotes the ultimate lightness, all colors combined. So a lighter color, which will register lighter in your mind, will be lemon yellow with white. And the next down from that would be this rose color mixed with white, but it's a little bit more fugitive. And so, but you can still use it. I mean, it's a very light color. And if you're mixing, let's say you're doing a painting and it has 3 white objects in it, well, you're going to have 3 different types of white, and you're going to have to mix them differently. So one of the whites will be lemon yellow, the other white will be mixed with a permanent rose, and the other white would most likely be mixed with a manganese blue or something like that. So, and now I'm talking about the light plane of a white object in sunlight, which would be very light. And so to make the three whites different, then that's the problem, is what would be the lightest 3 colors that you need to use. And in experimentation, I found that to be the case. So here's your yellow ochre, your warm green, your middle green, and your cool green. So yellow ochre is another useful earth color. The thing about your earth colors you need to remember is that they dry flatter usually than the other colors, and that is without as much gloss, and that the earth colors will dry quicker usually. They will dry up on your palette faster. Okay, this is a warm green. Yellow's been mixed with it. Middle green, what's called a permanent green, and then a cool green or a bluish green. And when you see them done this way, it's obvious what the difference is between them. Now, the difference between this is that it's not a limited palette. A limited color palette would only have 6 or 8 colors. So you would eliminate it to 1 blue, 1 red, 1 green, that sort of thing. And you might amplify it with whatever color you choose to use at that time. But since I don't paint for the thing I'm painting, I paint to mix the colors in a way which gives me the most control over them. And that the subject that I'm painting will be seen as a color object only. It won't be seen as necessarily a representation of trees or a representation of water. It is seen as a representation of light, and the colors that you put together to reproduce this effect of light need to be in harmony to do it. They need to be in context with each other, in relationship with each other throughout the 4 sides of the painting. Within this world that you're going to create, all the colors will relate to each other only within that. Doesn't matter whether they relate to a picture over here or not. What we're concerned with is whether they relate to the colors within the sides of the canvas. And so the mixtures that we're going to make are designed to become harmonious. And what creates harmony? Well, several things create harmony. Naturalism is the best clue. Now, to create harmony, transitions is a big help. If you can put a middle blue, let's say a cobalt blue, down, and you're going to it's a blue object and it's going to transit in color. It's going to change from that depending on how far away from it you get this way. Because see, the light's here and it's coming this way. Well, the lightest and brightest is going to be here and it's going to transit in both directions with different colors. Let's say it transits in one direction with this and in the other direction. Let's just move on down the line and say it transits to this. And so this allows you to do that very easily because color is going to transit with the colors as they go around this way. This is the easiest way to keep track of it by putting them all in a line so that you can go right down the row and say, how far do you want the color to be away from my original color in this transition? And that's how you're going to create a harmony within the colors of the piece, is that you're going to have a consistency with how you transit from your initial color mixture. So a few of the mixtures that I use, that was what I wanted to do, was put together a couple of things that I mix ordinarily. The first mixture that I want to put out is with a Mars violet and a magenta. And so in order to do this, what I'm going to do is mix a bit of white with each one. mix that together to get the color that I want. And you can see there, that's a useful color. I'm going to mix again my Mars Violet with some white, and I'm going to use my cobalt blue. And here, I'm going to mix some white with it. All right. Again, with the cobalt blue and the Mars Violet, trying to get that Mars Violet has a very dense color, and evidently I used too much of it to get that done. But so I'll mix that with the blue over here to get the color I'm after. And put some more of it there. There we go. Now, these colors will transit right there. I can mix them together to get that. Now, there's any number of ways to mix colors together. The other thing I wanted to mention was that if let's say we take some magenta and we add some cadmium red to it, we're going to come up with a nice opaque, because magenta is a transparent color, and put on with a brush, well, you can generally see through it. But if you put some of this cadmium red light with it, and immediately it becomes opaque. Now, let's add white to it. And the other tip that I want to say is that don't take, like, see, there's a bit of a tip of color here on this. I don't know if you can see it too well, but if I were to get that white off of there and it had that little bit of Mars Violet in it, it would completely destroy that color. So you have to be very careful that you take your whites very seriously about how you separate the ones there. And if you want to, like I say, this is a color that's very useful on portraits. I would take a bit of this Mars Violet here and mix with it, and now I have a lip color or a cheek color or something of that nature. There, nice lip color. So if you pull it around here, here's this this lemon yellow, which I said is so useful for making a very light passage on a canvas. You can see it's a very dense pigment, so you really have to add a lot of white to it to get it as light as you might want it. But you can already see it's the lightest thing around here. To get our highlight. And you can see that looks a little bit like a flesh and the highlight. And if we want to make it a little lighter, we can certainly do that too. So that's a good start.